All right, so let's dive into Amazon today.
Sound good.
It's pretty fascinating. You have this bookstore that becomes this global, like, behemoth practically running the world. How did that even happen? That's what we're going to unpack, I think.
Yeah.
And we've got two key pieces of source material here. First, we have Jeff Bezos's 2018 letter to Amazon shareholders, which is full of insights into like his strategies, and then a set of discussion questions that are based on that letter.
Yeah, and those discussion questions I think are really interesting because they kind of force us to think beyond, just like what Bezos is saying, and to really dig into the why and the how.
Yeah, exactly. We're not just summarizing, we're analyzing.
Right.
Our mission here is twofold. One, to figure out what made Amazon so successful, and then maybe more importantly, how we can apply those principles to our own lives.
Yeah.
Because who wouldn't want a bit of that Amazon magic, right?
Exactly. Whether you're an entrepreneur or just working on like a personal project, I think there are some really universal lessons here. But let's start with something that might surprise you.
Okay.
Third-party sellers on Amazon, they now account for 58% of Amazon's physical gross merchandise sales.
Wow.
That's more than Amazon's own retail efforts.
Okay. That is wild. So how did they get there? I mean, most companies would try to keep everything in-house, right?
See, that's what makes Amazon so different.
Uh-huh.
Instead of trying to control everything, they built a platform,
Uh-huh.
an ecosystem where other businesses could actually thrive. And they invested heavily in things like fulfillment by Amazon Prime
Right.
and algorithms that actually benefit these sellers.
So it's not just about being a retailer, it's about being an enabler.
Yeah,
But how does a company like Amazon balance that need for efficiency
right.
with the constant drive to innovate?
Well, that's where Bezos' concept of wandering comes in.
Wandering.
It sounds kind of counterintuitive. I know.
Yeah.
You'd think a company as efficient as Amazon would have everything planned, to a T.
Right.
But Bezos actually encourages a certain amount of exploration, even if it seems a bit messy. He calls it striking a balance between efficiency and exploration.
So sometimes you need to deviate from the plan. Isn't that a bit risky for a company like Amazon?
Well, the success of AWS Amazon Web Services proves that it can pay off.
Okay.
Nobody asked for it. Nobody knew they needed it.
Right.
But Amazon saw the potential and went for it.
Yeah.
It wasn't part of their master plan, but it became one of their most profitable ventures.
That's fascinating. So for our listeners, how do we apply this wandering in our own life?
That's a great question. It's about recognizing those moments where a little detour, a little exploration might lead to something unexpected.
Okay.
It's about overcoming, those psychological barriers that make us cling to the familiar.
Right.
Think about what's one area in your life where you could allow yourself to wander a bit?
Right.
What might you discover?
I love that it's like giving yourself permission to be curious, to experiment, to try things just because they spark your interest.
Yeah.
But what happens when those experiments fail? We know Amazon has had its share of flops, like the Fire Phone, for example.
But see, even in failure, there's opportunity.
Okay.
Bezos believes that as a company grows, so should the size of its failures.
Interesting.
It's about taking calculated risks, even when those risks might lead to a multi-billion-dollar flop.
Wait, so he's actually advocating for bigger failures?
Not exactly advocating, but acknowledging that they're inevitable if you're truly innovating.
Okay.
The Fire Phone was a misstep, sure, but the lessons learned from it directly led to the development of Echo and Alexa,
Right.
which have been massive successes.
So it's about reframing failure not as a setback, but as a stepping stone. I think that's a powerful lesson for all of us, no matter what we're working on. But there's got to be more to Amazon's success than just wandering and embracing failure. They're known for being incredibly customer-centric, right?
Absolutely. But what's interesting is that Bezos argues that simply listening to customers isn't enough.
Okay.
He says it's not about ignoring their feedback,
Uh-huh.
but recognizing that customers often don't know what they want until they see it.
Oh.
It's about anticipating needs before they're even voiced.
So how do you anticipate a need that hasn't even been expressed? I mean, that sounds almost impossible.
Well, think about Amazon Go Store's checkout free shopping.
Right?
Nobody explicitly asked for that, but Amazon envisioned it, created it, and it's been a game changer.
Wow.
They recognized the underlying desires and frustrations of their customers and went beyond, the immediate requests.
Okay, I'm starting to see what he means. It's about digging deeper, understanding those underlying desires, and then using your creativity to develop solutions that customers haven't even thought of yet. But all of this, the wandering, the embracing failure, anticipating needs, doesn't that require a certain level of long-term vision?
You're absolutely right, and that's another key element of Bezos's philosophy.
Okay.
Long-term thinking over short-term gains.
Okay.
He consistently prioritizes creating value for Amazon shareholders, even if it means sacrificing some immediate profits. It's about playing the long game.
So what does that mean for the rest of us? Are we too focused on instant gratification, quick wins? Are we missing out on the bigger picture?
That's the question we all need to be asking ourselves. How often do we prioritize short-term rewards over long-term goals? What would change if we adopted a more Bezos-like mindset?
Right.
It's a challenge, but the potential rewards are undeniable.
I think we've uncovered some pretty incredible insights here already. The power of third-party sellers, the importance of wandering, embracing failure, anticipating needs, and now this long-term thinking, but there's still one piece of the puzzle we need to explore, Bezos' obsession with high standards and what he calls day one thinking.
Ah, yes, day one thinking. It's about maintaining that same sense of urgency, excitement, and customer obsession that you had on the first day of your business, even as you grow, even as you achieve success. It's about fighting complacency.
So how do you hold on to that day one mentality when you're a giant like Amazon? How do you avoid getting comfortable?
Bezos believes that high standards are the key.
Oh,
He never settles for good enough and constantly pushes to be better. It's about never losing that drive to innovate, to improve, to stay ahead of the game.
I see. So it's a two-pronged approach. Keep that day one fire burning and never compromise on your standards. That's how you stay on top.
Precisely.
Yeah.
But this isn't just about Amazon.
Right?
Think about your own life, your own work. How do you maintain your own high standards in the face of routine or success? How can you recapture that day one energy and excitement? It's something to think about, isn't it?
This is also fascinating. We've gone deep into Amazon's winning formula, but what's really striking is how much of it applies beyond the world of business. It's about cultivating a mindset of growth, curiosity, and resilience. But let's dig deeper into each of these areas, shall we?
It's remarkable how Amazon manages to balance that constant drive for innovation with operational excellence. I mean, they're known for being both incredibly creative and incredibly efficient.
Yeah.
How do they pull that off?
Right. It's like they figured out the secret sauce, and the rest of us are left wondering what's in the recipe.
I don't think there's a single magic formula, but it goes back to the principles that Bezos has instilled in the company culture. Day one thinking, for instance, is constantly emphasized, that reminder to stay hungry, stay curious, and never lose that sense of urgency.
So even with all their success, it's about looking ahead, always searching for the next opportunity to innovate and grow.
Exactly. Another principle he emphasizes is disagree and commit.
Disagree and commit.
He encourages open debate and healthy dissent. But once a decision is made, everyone aligns and executes.
Interesting. So it's a culture where everyone's voice is heard, but there's also a clear understanding that once a direction is set, the team moves forward as one that makes a lot of sense. But we can't talk about Amazon without discussing their customer-centric approach. I mean, they're practically the poster child for customer obsession.
Absolutely. But Bezos goes a step further. He says being customer obsessed isn't just about listening to what customers say they want,
Right.
but about anticipating their needs, even the ones they haven't articulated yet.
That reminds me of our discussion about wandering. It's almost like applying that same principle to understanding the customer you're exploring, looking beyond the obvious, trying to uncover those hidden needs.
Precisely think about Amazon. Go again, check out free shopping.
Right.
No one was clamoring for that specifically, but Amazon envisioned it, created it, and it resonated with customers on a deep level.
It's like they're not just meeting needs, they're shaping them. It makes you wonder what they'll come up with next. What other seemingly impossible customer experiences will they make a reality?
Bezos also talks about the importance of embracing divinely discontent customers.
Divinely discontent customers.
He believes the most valuable customers are never fully satisfied, always looking for ways to improve their experience. They push Amazon to constantly raise the bar.
Divinely discontent. That's a great term. So instead of trying to please everyone, they focus on those who are always demanding more, pushing for something better. That's a pretty bold strategy.
It is, and it seems to be working.
Yeah.
It's that relentless pursuit of improvement that keeps Amazon on the cutting edge.
Let's shift gears a bit and talk about some of the financial and business performance insights from the letter. What jumped out at you?
Well, the way they balance short-term profitability with long-term investments is impressive. They're a highly profitable company.
Right.
But they're also constantly pouring resources back into research development and expansion.
It's a reminder that sometimes you have to delay gratification to achieve truly significant goals. They're not just playing to win the next quarter, they're building for the long haul.
Right, and that ties back to Bezos's belief in the power of compounding returns. He's thinking decades ahead, not just months or years. That kind of long-term vision is rare these days.
Speaking of long-term vision, the letter also hints at their international expansion strategy. What's their approach there?
Bezos stresses tailoring the customer experience to different cultures and markets. It's not about force-fitting the Amazon model everywhere, but adapting and localizing to meet specific needs. It's about finding that sweet spot between global consistency and local relevance.
That's smart. A one-size-fits-all approach rarely works in today's globalized world. You have to be sensitive to cultural nuances and adapt your strategies accordingly.
It's a lesson any company with global ambitions should take to heart. But even for Amazon, success isn't guaranteed. Bezos acknowledges challenges they must overcome, maintaining high standards as they scale, attracting and retaining top talent, and meeting ever-increasing customer expectations.
It's a good reminder that even giants like Amazon face constant pressure. They can't afford to become complacent.
Exactly. Complacency is the death knell for any organization. Bezos understands that, and it's reflected in their continuous drive to improve and push boundaries.
What about their approach to competition in a world where everyone is trying to be number one? I'm curious how they view their rivals.
Well, Bezos doesn't see competition as a zero-sum game. He's not fixated on taking down rivals, but on creating something so compelling, so innovative, that it renders the competition irrelevant.
So it's not about beating the competition, but about transcending it.
Yes, it's about focusing on your own strengths, delivering an exceptional customer experience, and constantly raising your own bar.
That's such a refreshing perspective. So often we get caught up in comparing ourselves to others instead of focusing on our own unique value proposition.
It's a trap that's easy to fall into, but ultimately true success comes from focusing on what you do best and constantly striving to be better. It's about creating something truly remarkable, something that makes a difference.
This deep dive into Amazon's winning formula has been eye-opening. We've uncovered so much about their strategies, philosophies, and their impact on the business world.
It's amazing what we can learn from studying companies like Amazon. But what's truly exciting is how much of what we've discussed applies beyond the business world.
Exactly. These are principles we can apply to our personal lives or creative projects, anything we're passionate about. It's about cultivating that mindset of curiosity, resilience, and a relentless pursuit of improvement.
It is, and if we embrace that mindset, who knows what we might achieve.
I think that's a great point to ponder as we move into the final part of our deep dive. What other insights can we glean from Bezos's letter and these discussion questions that what does the future hold for Amazon and how can we learn from their journey? You know, it's fascinating to think about how Amazon's success has influenced like the business world as a whole. I mean, they've practically rewritten the playbook for e-commerce, cloud computing, even physical retail.
It's true. Their relentless focus on the customer experience has become like the gold standard, and other companies are playing catch up, trying to figure out how to replicate that same level of customer obsession.
I can't tell you how many times I've heard someone say, I wish this company was more like Amazon. You know, they've become the benchmark, the model for success in so many industries.
Yeah, their impact is undeniable.
Yep.
But even with all their success, Bezos doesn't shy away from the challenges ahead.
Right.
He talks about the need to maintain high standards as they grow, attracting and retaining top talent, and meeting ever-increasing customer expectations.
It's a good dose of reality. Even a company like Amazon has to constantly adapt and evolve to stay on top.
That's the thing about success. It's not a destination, it's a journey.
Yeah.
And complacency is the enemy of progress.
Right.
Bezos clearly understands that resting on their laurels would be a recipe for disaster.
So it's a constant push to innovate, to improve, to never settle for good enough. I'm curious, what does Bezos see as the future for Amazon? What are they hinting at disrupting next?
Well, he doesn't reveal any specific targets, but he emphasizes, anticipating customer needs and wandering into uncharted territory. So it's safe to assume they'll continue to push boundaries and explore new frontiers.
So we can expect more surprises, more innovations that we haven't even imagined yet. That's exciting, but also a little daunting for anyone trying to compete with them.
Yeah, that's where the day one mentality comes in. It's about constantly challenging yourself, never losing that hunger to learn and grow, regardless of your size or success.
One of the discussion questions that really resonated with me was about Amazon's approach to competition in a world obsessed with beating the competition. I'm intrigued by their perspective.
Yeah, Bezos doesn't frame competition as a zero-sum game.
Right.
He believes in creating something so compelling, so innovative, that it renders the competition irrelevant.
So it's not about taking down your rivals, but about making them obsolete through your own ingenuity. That's a bold approach.
It requires a deep understanding of your own strengths and a relentless focus on delivering exceptional value to your customers.
It's about transcending the competition, not just defeating it. That's a powerful lesson, not just for businesses, but for individuals as well.
Absolutely. It's about honing your own skills, developing your unique strengths, and creating something truly remarkable.
I think that's a fantastic note to end on. This deep dive into Amazon's winning formula has been incredibly insightful. We've explored their strategies, their philosophies, their impact on the world.
And we've uncovered valuable lessons that we can all apply to our own lives and careers.
It's been a fascinating journey, and I hope our listeners have come away with a renewed sense of inspiration and a few practical takeaways they can put into action.
Remember, as Bezos would say, it remains day one.
So true. So let's keep exploring, keep innovating, keep pushing ourselves to be better. Who knows what amazing things we might achieve?
The possibilities are truly endless.
That's a wrap for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next time for another fascinating exploration of the ideas that shape our world.